football's here. We're seeing practice footage all over the internet. Tennessee's blurring some of theirs out, which I respect, by the way. I went to Arkansas's practice for about an hour and a half yesterday, and we talked a little bit about that. Josh Pate does his own college football show nationally. You can see it on YouTube, and he's recently partnered with On3. I've seen a lot of Josh's stuff on social media over the last few years, and Josh, thanks for hopping on with us today. I think it's the first time doing our show. I know you've done many of these, but are you ready to roll this morning?
No, I'm ready. Yeah, I even ready when I went to bed last night. Yeah. So more than ready by the time we wake up.
I saw Josh at the Rose Bowl when I was doing one of those inside the college football playoff shows that you don't like.
No, I love those shows. I love those shows, just so we're clear.
Chuck's like, whatever. Josh, I'm not doing you justice. Who all do you work for now? I can't keep up.
Well, trust me. I have to tell my mom the same thing every time I go home. It's really weird. The show's fully independent, so I own 100% of it. So really what I do these days is more partnerships. You can look at it as taking on investors if you want to. But, it's a big one with On3, Yahoo Sports. I would imagine one of those ridiculously overdone press releases will be released again a time or two before the season because this is the time of year you announce those things. But really it's just a weird way for the LinkedIn page to look if I had a LinkedIn page. But the show is the show. It stays free. It stays owned by us. And partnerships come, and if they make sense, we enter them. But the On3 one was really big yesterday.
Tell me, just before we get started and get some thoughts from you on the season, just tell me how, kind of what you do, what you're about, so we can give some perspective. I think people will enjoy your content. Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday, he does a show that you can watch on YouTube, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central. But how did you get into this, and what's sort of your angle in college football?
Well, I cover it the entire year. I don't even mention the letters NBA or NFL or MLB. Now, I do watch those, but I don't talk about them. So I don't know. About 10 years ago, I actually had to do a long-form sit-down about this yesterday, so I'm very, very well-versed on my story. About 10 years ago, I was down in rural Georgia. I was doing local news. Before that, I had come out of Fabric Warehouse. So I was working my way into media, and I was looking at what the college football offering was nationally. And if you're a diehard college football fan, you've known for a long time what I'm about to say is true, and that is several other sports are way overcovered and oversaturated nationally. And for whatever reason, even though college football is the second most popular sport in this country, the sort of legacy network type world, it was an afterthought to them. Now, they loved having live games, and they still do. But, I mean, I'm turning on ESPN or Fox or CBS. I mean, no one was innocent here. And I see 37 different studio NBA shows, and I don't really have anything in terms of college football that really quenches my thirst. So this is about the time the digital media revolution came about, and you can go live on YouTube or Facebook at the time, whatever. So I just decided, well, if you're going to complain about it, do something about it. So we started that very moment trying to make a show. We ended up making a show. We ended up scaling it pretty good. CBS and at the time 24/7 Sports sort of took notice and said, come do that for us. No one's doing that here. Come do that for us. And got here in 2020 and have been on a really fun ride ever since.
Well, congrats. It's been fun to see.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch what you've done. And, we know this and you know this. I mean, when you talk about college football, it seems like every year the conversation gets around to, the coach, who's gonna make it, who's not gonna make it. Are there fan bases out there, Josh, that are actually happy? I mean, you talk to college football fans every day. Is there a happy fan base?
Man. Well, let's see. Here's a good place to start. So the defending conference champion is Georgia. And the only thing their folks are worried about is whether they're going to get back to normal this year. So if that's any indication, if that's any indication, I don't know if there's happiness. I don't even know if this sport lends itself to anyone being happy, which is why I love it. It's beautiful. in the aggregate, in totality, it makes everyone happy. The idea of college football makes everyone happy. But then they zoom into their specific message board or their specific show, their specific team, and they're like, how is this guy still our offensive coordinator? How have we not made a move at left guard? Does everyone not see what I see? And here's the other part of that. If you're driving around and somehow you're listening to this show but you don't like college football, I want to also stress to people, this is the time of year where optimism is at its highest. So the happiest month is August. You revisit this question in November, and, whew, man, we could go 2 hours on that.
What's different about college football and how the fans react as you're describing, in your opinion?
The game extends well beyond the field. That's what's great about college football. It's what's unique about it, too, is that when I ask you, if you grew up in Hot Springs and you've been an Arkansas fan, multi-generational in nature, and someone from, I don't know, Minneapolis, you got a cousin up there, and they ask, hey, what is Arkansas football to you? It would take quite a while before you ever start to drill down on the specifics on the field. You would explain to them the culture. You would explain to them the layering of how it's ingrained in your DNA and why it's ingrained in your DNA and what a game day in Fayetteville means, what that Razorback logo means, what the names have meant, but also like the core principles, values of what that brand, what that institution means, and how it overlaps with your life and your ethos and your way of doing things. And I think that rinse and repeat for most every fan base out there. I also think it's just awesome and incredible at the same time that you could go to the state of Alabama and you got folks who are either Roll Tide or War Eagle. And, everyone brags about that rivalry. Oh, these people don't have pro sports in the state. Oh, they live with each other 365 days a year. And, yeah, that's all true. But think about this. It's not just that they're wearing different colors. Those people, and trust me, I grew up there, so I know, they firmly believe those colors represent a diametrically opposed viewpoint on life.
That's true. That is so true.
It's a different way. It's a different belief system. It is a different set of values and principles. And you're living in, like, the town of Eclectic, Alabama, and there may be 750 people there, and one of them lives across the street from the other one, and because of that flag hanging off of that front porch, you believe something different about life than
That's
I do.
right.
And by the way,
That's
my beliefs
right.
are better than yours. Oh, that's what I love. And you try and explain that to someone from Detroit, Michigan sometimes, it can be a challenge.
That's so well said.
It's perfect.
And then it goes state to state, like how you feel about an LSU fan or how an LSU fan feels about Arkansas or how Arkansas feels about Texas. By the way, Josh, when you get asked about Arkansas, not necessarily this year, year to year, how do you view Arkansas as a football program?
One of my favorites. It's one of my favorite places to go. I sit over here in Nashville and just, kind of under the table, low key, long for them to put it together, whatever that magic combination of ingredients are. I feel like it's, I don't know the best way to describe this. I've always felt like it's kind of an outpost within the SEC. Missouri's that way, but the vibe at Missouri is way different than Arkansas. But and for different reasons, I say Missouri. But I feel like it's a very underappreciated place. I feel the same about South Carolina. Places like Georgia, Bama, Florida, Texas, like they get a lot of shine, and rightfully so. Value of the brands, game day experience. But, I mean, you guys have been to tons of Arkansas games. I've been up there. I think when you go up there and it's the right set of ingredients, as we just said, that's a spectacle that you're really proud to show off to the country. And that's a spectacle that, when it's right, when it's turned up to 10, take, for example, that Texas game a few years ago, the country tunes in and says, hold on a second. Like, I know about all these places in the SEC. I never really rattle Arkansas off in that list. I go half a dozen deep, and I don't say Arkansas, and yet I'm watching this right now. And this place seems like hell to try and go into and play. Well, it is. It's just that the effort there, the product you put on the field, has got to contribute to that. And that's where, obviously, you've got trepidation. We've had trepidation, rightfully so, the last few years. And that's why, I'm sitting over here kind of trying to be cautiously optimistic every year. I don't know what the vibe up there has been so far this late summer, but that's where my mind's at.
Josh Pate's college football show. So as the commissioner of college football, Josh, how do you what is your intrigue with this year, along with what it always is, but anything different about this upcoming season for you?
Well, I can't get over the vibe I came out of SEC Media Days with a few weeks ago. I guess it more kind of confirmed a suspicion I already had. But, guys, if you were to list, what do we have, 16 teams? If you were to list the 16 teams/fan bases in this conference, it is really, really crazy how many of them view last year's result as sort of an appetizer to this year's main course. And I'm talking about Alabama fans thoroughly believe they will improve this year. Georgia folks won the conference, and they fully believe they'll improve this year. Florida absolutely believes that. A&M believes that. LSU believes that. Auburn unequivocally believes that. You can start rattling off. Oklahoma, you can add them to that mix. You start rattling off the list, and you get half the conference deep with folks that are completely resolute in the idea that, well, last year's result's okay only because of what we're going to do this year. It was leading up to this year. Well, the math is not there for that to work out. And I'm not quite sure. I know people know that the sport has changed, but I'm not quite sure they've recalibrated their expectation meter to account for the sport changing. Like I was doing an Alabama preview the other day, and I do the best case, the worst case, and the most likely, very, very common. I said 9-3 is most likely, 11-1 is best case. But I said 6-6 is the worst case for Alabama. And folks flew off the handle. And I'm just telling you, it's not a prediction Bama's going to go 6-6, but it used to be that their floor was 9-3 under Saban. Number one, Saban's gone. But even if Nick Saban was still there, you'd have some 7-5s baked into the possible variance of outcome because depth has been shaved. And you are so vulnerable to injury, more so even than you used to be at places like Georgia, at places like Alabama. Anyway, my point there is someone's about to go 7-5 in this league this year and not be a terrible team. It's just that you got too many of you that are good to pretty good. I don't know if we have any elite in the SEC this year, but good to pretty good beats up on good to pretty good. And that's how you got a car wreck at the end of the year, and your conference champ's probably 11-2. They probably faced another 2-loss team in Atlanta, but you're going to have a 7-5, and you're going to have a fan base yelling for their coach to be run out of town, and it will basically be the equivalent of 10 years ago's 9-3, or maybe a really good 8-4. And no one used to get fired because of that. I just don't know that we recalibrated those expectations and that perspective yet.
Is there a surprise team out there, either in our league, the SEC, or just around college football in general, somebody we're not talking about now but we will be?
Let me ask you guys, because, I've been banging this drum since the spring, and I've started to hear the drum beat increase in volume a little bit. Do you think Georgia Tech still qualifies as that?
A surprise?
Yes,
yeah,
I think
absolutely.
They would. Yeah, I think they would.
Okay. So I think they'll play for the conference title game. So if that still qualifies as a surprise, then I'm
surprised.
Very, very high.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
That hit the mark for you, Chuck.
Yeah, I'm surprised. You did, man. You hit the mark.
I just picture a big graphic flashing across the screen. Just surprised, like a stamp on the forehead.
Exactly.
Yeah. Look, here's what I would love to do. I would love to do a scientific experiment here. If we could do an A/B scenario type deal, and we could take a focus group of AP writers or just fans and have them watch last year play out as it did, that have Georgia Tech right where they have them right now. But if I were to do the B scenario, and let's take that multi-overtime game against Georgia, but they win it. It's just a coin flip, crapshoot at that point when you're in overtime, but let's say they win it. If I change nothing else about this team other than that, I guarantee you half the country would have a different perspective on Georgia Tech coming into this year.
That's fair.
And the expectation level would be through the roof. Well, I don't look at them any different with that outcome last year. In fact, if anything, it makes them a little hungrier coming into this year. So I love how veteran-laden they are. Here's the thing about Georgia Tech. No one is accidentally playing for Georgia Tech. There is no mercenary-type kid at Georgia Tech. So everything there really resembles the kind of roster dynamic that you're used to growing up watching this sport. It's not like some other places where they just throw a bunch of them together out of the portal and hope it works. I appreciate that. I appreciate the kid at quarterback, Haynes King. I mean, that story of his feels like it's been going on for a decade now, but I feel like he's in a really good place, and I feel like that program most closely resembles the identity of its head coach as any team in that conference, and that conference being the ACC is a lot more wide open than maybe the SEC would be. So I've got them circled. I've had them circled for a while. I put that money down as soon as I could.
You can see why we like Josh.
I guess so.
Josh Pate College Football Show, YouTube. You can watch it 3 times a week. You follow him on social. Go follow him on Twitter. You keep up with him there. He's not going to take your hate, though, and the toxicity and all that. He'll post, and you can follow. Josh is also like us. He gets a good haircut, bald for the most part.
Oh.
And
same barber.
And I also just kind of wondered, since Chuck and I are both bald, who's your favorite bald Arkansas sports media personality?
Oh, wow.
This is a loaded question, by the way, sent by one of your friends.
Well, that's no friend of mine. That's a poser. I'm very partial to Trey Biddy. I'm very partial to Trey. I love his walk and talks that he does after games. Most of them have been sad lately, but I gotta tell you, I said this the other day, and I will say again, if I had, like equity in my own life that I could trade in exchange for something, Trey Biddy being able to see an Arkansas playoff caliber team is one of the things I would trade some equity out of my own life for.
Wow.
I mean, I want to see the guy enjoy it and do a big chest puffed out post game walk and talk that bad, and I haven't gotten it in a while.
That's adorable. Brandon Marcello is offended.
Oh my goodness! Well, see, here's Marcello's problem. Marcello, I think of in national terms.
Yeah.
So I don't ever think of Marcello as being pinned down anywhere.
That's right. Yeah.
And anytime I see him, it's in Tennessee. So I don't ever run into Marcello in Arkansas.
It was nice of him to come down to our level as an Arkansas sports media personality when he posed the question.
Yeah.
Because he's so much bigger than that.
Isn't that great? I mean, a friend of mine, former friend of mine, Brandon Marcello. No, I would never say that. We love Brandon Marcello.
Josh, thanks so much, man.
Thank you, Josh.
Great work. Love the show. We'll do it again, man. Appreciate your time.
I appreciate it, guys.
Thanks. Have a great day. Josh Pate College Football Show, partnered with On3. Big announcement yesterday, but you can catch him on YouTube. Does a great job. Loves college football. And also, I think he, like when I watch, he's got, a level-headed sort of broad approach and easy to watch, learn a lot, and he loves the sport. Anybody that loves the sport, studies the sport, I'm a fan of because we love it.
He understands the people that love it, too, which is really, maybe the key to what he's doing.